You know, with climate change, all the science was known by about the late 1980s, and there's two reasons why there's been so many delays. Number one is, of course, there's been deliberate climate denial by very powerful vested interests, but number two is there should be better public knowledge of what's actually going on. And although that's chiefly for scientists to do, I think it's for historians to do as well, because climate change has a history, and by untangling the history, you have an absolute clarity over what happened when and what's likely to happen in the future. Manchester history as well, we're in the 8th year now, and it's grown and grown, and it's a fantastic fortnight. It involves a huge number of local groups, so it's very important because it brings all the communities in together. There's dialogue and new discoveries. It's a really terrific time, but it's particularly important with climate change because it's a really, really urgent matter now that we educate as many people as possible, that we spread really good information rather than fake information, and that I think that all of us can play our part in, to do our best to change this very drastic situation. It's a great crisis, and I think we all need to be active in politics.
Gorton Monastery is fabulous. It's a great venue for such an important subject today, which of course is climate change, which is something that affects us all. And I'm really pleased to see that Manchester Histories has taken that up with such fantastic enthusiasm. I think that every generation has had some environmental problem, be it, in Manchester is a good example of industrialisation, pollution from factories and chimneys, problems with sewage, all that kind of thing. And going back even further, there are been similar problems throughout history of people trying to deal with how their cities and towns are changing. So I think it's very relevant that we should take a long view of this kind of thing to see at such a key point in history, really, because we are almost at a tipping point. Some people think we are at a tipping point, and it's crucial, I think, that we take on board not only what's happening today, but what has happened in the past as well. I think Manchester Histories Festival is fantastically important. It is unique in the UK, possibly globally, so I think we're an exemplar that other communities could follow. But I think it acts as a form of social cohesion. It brings people together. It makes people think about their histories. It gives people autonomy and power over their own histories to try and make their own mark, to make their own voice heard. And I think Manchester Histories acts as a channel for all those sorts of things, and for that very reason, that's why I think it's so important.
Well, it's absolutely essential that we know our history. We have a massive role to play here. We were the home of the Industrial Revolution. Clearly, where we find ourselves in terms of the climate, Manchester's had an impact and a role in that. I think it's essential that Manchester also responds in Manchester Histories Festival, looking at our history, looking at that context, looking at what role Manchester played in the Industrial Revolution, but now looking forward to what role Manchester plays in the climate revolution and tackling the real challenge and threat of climate change is important. So this event, the Manchester History Festival this year, is going to have voices from all sections of our community and society to make sure that we start talking about the challenge, but also start looking at what the solutions could be.